Are you ready to create an online course? In this video, I've got 8 steps. I'm going to take you through the process of creating your online course. All right, just really quickly, these 8 steps are designed to help you with the thought process through it. And some of these steps are pretty involved. Like, for example, the final step talks about creating a sales funnel. That's an entire video in and of itself. Therefore, I've created a Create a Course playlist, and in this playlist, you'll see the grouping of all of the videos that I've created around creating a course. So this one is more of an overview video, and I think it's a good starting point. I also think it's a good ending point, but I just want you to keep that in mind that I won't be able to walk you through click by click in this video, but my goal is to give you the starting point of what you need, okay? And before we get there, if you've never met me, my name is LaTisha Styles. I've sold over $1 million of coaching courses and consulting. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how I did that and my entire journey, as well as the 6 steps that I would take if I were starting from scratch and I wanted to reach 6 figures, then click the link in the description to watch my free masterclass. All right, let's jump into step 1. All right, step 1 to creating an online course is come up with a profitable course topic. This is where a lot of people get stuck. So I'm actually going to jump into step 2 as well, and we'll talk about both of these together, okay? Step 2 is to research your topic. So let's just go back to step 1 really quick. When I say profitable course topic, it's important that you understand all topics are great. I feel like the proud mom right now. Like, yeah, that drawing was great, Johnny. All topics are great, but every topic is not necessarily profitable. So what you're looking for when you're trying to research your course topic and you're coming up with an idea is you want to think of something that is in the way of a major life problem. And generally, we can distill that down into 3 main areas: health, wealth, and relationships. So for example, if your course has something to do with health, this can be a major life problem. The cost of not having good health come in the way of higher insurance costs, maybe medicines, doctor visits, things like that. And obviously, depending on the laws where you live, you have to be careful about, the types of things that you talk about. But my point is, in the health arena, there are major problems that you can potentially solve. Talking about wealth. Wealth is an easy one. Getting your career going, improving your career, making more money with a side hustle, or, starting a business, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do there in terms of wealth, learning how to invest, things like that. And then we've got relationships. This is a big area where I feel like a lot of people don't really see the value, or they don't understand that value that's there. But divorce is really expensive, and it's also very traumatizing. And there's a lot of courses and programs and coaching and offers that can be centered around that topic. So when you're determining your profitable topic, if something is a nice to have and it's not necessarily a need to have, then we want to do a little bit more research, okay? We want to back up just a little bit and really come up with a profitable course topic. Now, for example, I wish I had known this. I would love for you to look at trending ideas right now. So when I started, I was just like, this is what I enjoy doing. And if you follow your passion, you'll make money. But I didn't realize that if I had just taken one step further and looked at, okay, what's actually trending right now, I could have just tweaked my topic just a little bit, and I feel like I would have gained a lot more traffic, notoriety, money. I would have gotten to, my $1 million faster. I feel like if I would have known that there's a way to really determine the profit of it, then I would have gotten there faster. So I did create a video where I'll walk you through that process of step 1, step 2, coming up with a profitable course topic and researching it. And in that video, I also did a couple of ideas based on some ones that you guys provided inside of our free profit creator community. I created a video and I walked through how I would do those ideas. So if you like to watch that video, once again, just go to the course playlist. I'll link it above as well. All right, step 2. So now we'll jump fully into step 2, which is research your market. So when you're researching your market, what does the market actually need? What are some gaps that can be filled? And sometimes people don't know what they need, so they don't know what they're searching for. And it's your job to teach them, to explain to them that, hey, you think this is what you need, but actually this is what you need, and you're helping them to reframe their belief. And so when you're researching your market, make sure you're doing more than just, typing online. Have conversations, do phone calls. One of the first programs that I released was teaching people how to research their target market. And in that program, part of their homework was to do 20 research calls. And these are 20 mini coaching sessions. And I actually also have this homework inside of the current flagship program, which is the Path to Six Figures. And the reason that we do that is when you have these conversations, you're able to actually speak to people. You're able to actually understand the words that they're saying. What words are they using? And how does that apply to your topic and what you want to share? I did do an entire video, once again, on researching your market, and I combined that with finding that profitable course topic, and that's in the playlist. So definitely make sure you check that out. All right, step 3, understand your audience. So I know you've probably heard this before, like the best way to get people to sign up for your course is to make sure that they want it, right? So the best thing a hamburger restaurant can have is a starving crowd. And it almost won't matter what's inside of your course or your hamburger, right? And this really comes down to understanding your audience. As we're researching our market, your target market is a little bit different from your ideal client avatar. Your ideal client avatar is like an individual person, and you should be able to describe this person. They are personified. They are, this name. They, it's a he or she. She has this name. She works at this type of company. She does this. Like, you should be able to describe that entire avatar. And I also have a worksheet that we did, was like ideal client avatar worksheet. I'll link that below as well. But you should be able to describe your ideal client avatar. And when you can describe your ideal client avatar and you understand them well, it's going to be really easy to understand your audience so that you're speaking directly to them. Copywriting is all about understanding how to speak to your audience and using the words that they would use and really reflecting it back to them. You're going to be using this content in everything. You'll be using it in your emails. When you understand your audience, you'll use that content inside of your sales pages, your landing pages, when you do social media content, all of that. And so it's important to understand your audience. One of the ways that we do this when I work with clients is, once again, we have them do those mini coaching sessions as they research, but for understanding their audience and creating the ideal client avatar worksheet, I really just have them go out and, like, if you were to describe your person, your ideal person, like, who are they? What magazines are they reading? Do they read magazines? Are they watching Good Morning America? Are they, watching movies late at night? Do they like video games? Like, what are the characteristics of that person? All right, step 4 in how to create an online course, step by step, run step 4, is going to be research your topic extensively. The research part of the process is not so that you can borrow content from other people. It's so you have an idea of what is out there already and what holes are in the market. When you are reviewing other courses and other programs that are out there, you want to see if you can find reviews, or if you can find feedback from people and ask them, like, how did you like this course? What do you feel was missing? Now, one of my favorite ways to do this is in a little bit more of a passive versus direct way, because sometimes it's difficult to get some straight answers from people. I like going to Udemy, and I look through the course topics on Udemy until I can find one that's similar to the course topic that I want to create. And then I read through the 2 and 3 star reviews. Generally, your 1-star review people are just really frustrated and really upset, so they don't really provide very much helpful content. Sometimes I'll look through those, but most of the time I'm looking at those 2 and 3 star reviews. Inside of the 2 and 3 star reviews, you can find like literal gold where people are telling you, like, this was okay, but I wish it had this, or I didn't really like this course because it didn't have this. And now you have an idea of, okay, when I create my course, I need to put this in there, or I need to describe why it was left out and why we don't talk about that and why maybe that's a, next level topic. Step 5 into your 5 steps to create a course is going to be write a course outline. Once you've done your research and you research your topic, you understand your avatar, your course outline might sound completely different from someone else's because it's the wording that your ideal client uses. And when I write the outline, I like to think of it in terms of, if I had to teach someone from step 1 all the way to the final step, for example, the way I'm doing in this video, what would I tell them to do? What do I do? What is my process? And so I write those out. Then from there, I start looking at, okay, based on these topics that I've written, can anything be combined? can anything be stripped out? Because most courses don't get completed, unfortunately. Most people sign up for a course, they purchase a course, and then they may not go through it, or they review some videos, but then they don't actually complete it. And so if you want to help your clients and your students get success as quickly as possible, you want to include some sort of quick win, okay? And with this quick win, you're going to help people to keep motivated, stay motivated so they can continue on their journey and continue on that path to success, okay? So keep that in mind as you're writing out your course outline. Now, inside of your outline, one thing that I like to do that I've never done before, I did this inside of the Path to Six Figures and it hugely improved the client experience, and that is to explain why we are about to do what we're about to do. So not just in this module, you're going to learn X, Y, Z, but also saying this is important because I'm the type of person where if I'm following someone and they've been where I want to go and they tell me, you know, go do X, Y, Z, I'm going to go do X, Y, Z. Or if they say, hey, go do Y, X, Z, I might question like, I wonder why I'm doing Y, X, Z instead of X, Y, Z. But, you know, generally speaking, I'm just going to say, well, I'm sure they have a reason for it. And this type of kind of almost blind faith or blind trust has sometimes gotten me in trouble, to be honest. But most other times it's allowed me to move fast without having any types of fear or doubt. And, you know, I started creating courses and creating my content, and I would provide like, hey, this is what you need to do, but not always provide the why behind it. And so what I started doing was inside of the modules, I'd say in this module, this is what we're going to do. And this is important because, and it really cut down and minimized on a lot of the questions that I was getting. I kept getting the same questions like, why am I doing this now? Why aren't we doing this here? And it slowed them down. Like it was slowing my students down because they were waiting to ask the question before they actually continued on with what they were doing because they couldn't understand it. And so because they couldn't understand it and they didn't know what they were doing conceptually, they wanted to know like, why am I walking on this step instead of jumping over there? And I didn't understand that people really need to know that it's like a security blanket. And so I recommend that you do that. So include that in your course outline. Also include some sort of objectives and let them know like by the time you finish this, you will have X, Y, Z. So those are the three things I recommend you include in each module or each section of your course. In this module, you're going to learn this is important because, and by the time you complete it, you should have X, Y, Z. And then the last thing that I would include is, I used to include a final video that was like, am I ready to move on? And it just reiterates like, if you're ready to move on, if you've done this, this, and that. All right. Step 6 is to create the course content. With creating the course content, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. And I do have a full video that's going to teach you how to actually, you know, fully work out and work through that course content. When you're creating that course content, a couple of different ways I like to approach this. First way is just writing it all out, scripting it all out, recording the video and going from there. When I completed the Path to Six Figures program, I sat right back here in my studio, sat right in that chair. It was in a different spot, like right behind me. I sat right in that chair and I recorded every single video. I had my teleprompter set up and I would record, okay, module 1, module 2, module 3. Anything that was slide based, I recorded that on my computer and I did everything ahead of time. I've been doing this and creating courses for years. This is not how I would recommend that you start. And this is the problem that I see a lot of people run into because they're following and listening to all these other people who are telling you what to do from where they are now. But when I first started, what I did at first was I created a topic, I created an outline, and I invited people to a live workshop version of that topic. Then on the live workshop, I would teach and I would talk through the points. And every time I got a question, I would make a note and I would improve my workshop by saying, okay, I didn't cover this, I need to cover this. And I would create supplemental content sometimes. Other times I would just re-record it again, like I would rework the workshop and then re-record it again. And by doing that, I was able to co-create with my audience, with the viewers, so that the content was very robust. And it included the things that even maybe I didn't know or remember that would need to be included in there. And so the way when I first started my coaching business is I would create a free workshop. And then at the end of that free workshop, I would upsell people into a paid workshop. And then the paid workshop, I would teach even more. And this is definitely something that I recommend. Like if you're thinking of starting a coaching business, or you're doing courses because, you want to graduate people into doing coaching, or maybe you're going from coaching to courses, this is a great way to do it. You get an opportunity to teach your content, and you get an opportunity to basically upsell into your next step of that program. So it's like, here's the step 1 for free. And now if you'd like step 2, here's the investment. Very simple, seems simple enough to me. Now, when you're creating course content, one thing to consider is, are you gonna create videos? Are you gonna create audio? Are you gonna do text? I have taken courses that are text only. Not my favorite way to learn, but I was able to get out of them what I needed to get. Primarily, I love learning using video. You probably do too, which is why you're here watching YouTube. If you're more of an audio person, you can do that. But you can create any mix and match of video, audio, visual. I would recommend providing transcripts if you can, because some people are very visual and they learn best when they're reading. They don't necessarily learn best when they're listening or watching someone. So those are just some things to keep in mind as you're creating your course. But you don't have to do all of that from the start. That can be, you can create a minimum viable version and then go from there. All right. Step 7, which is going to be its own video. Step 7 is to create a course page that drives sales. Create a course page that drives sales. I created a video on how to create a landing page in Thinkific, and then I also have like a companion video with that talks about like what to put on the page. This is huge. So many people miss this. They don't know how to create a sales page, a landing page. They don't know what to say, what to put on the page, how to start it, how to design it, which is why I've created an entire masterclass kind of teaching you all of this. And so you have to create a course page so that you can drive sales. Okay, now this is also considered and called a sales letter. It has to have a couple of things. It needs to have a compelling headline. Okay. It needs to have an overview of what your course includes, your course objectives, and also the benefits of taking the course. If you've got any testimonials, which you would get if you were to host it live and get feedback, but if you've got testimonials, you can put that on the course page as well. Once you have these 7 things, you're ready to launch your online course, but then you're going to need to know, well, how do I launch my online course? Don't worry, I got you. I created an entire video on what to do to launch your online course, and I recommend you go watch that one next. Before you go, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.